Welcome to Food Travelers. In this episode, we are heading north and then a little bit south. We're actually taking the ferry from Vancouver, British Columbia down to Victoria, British Columbia. For that trip, we actually have to take a ferry, which is about an hour and a half ride, and you actually end up being a little bit north of Victoria, and we end up having to drive down to Victoria. But it was a very scenic ride, very beautiful. We booked the ferry tickets through the bcferries.com, so we'll leave a link down below in the description box if you want to take this ferry as well. It's a ferry that takes cars, and so we were there. Micah, it was, I guess, kind of pricey. It was about $115 to $120 USD. So definitely, if you are planning a trip there, keep that in mind because it's not necessarily a cheap trip to make.
Yeah, definitely. I was pretty surprised when I was looking at the pricing and everything, and I did not expect it to be that expensive going to Victoria. And the last time I went to Victoria, it was by a cruise ship, so I didn't have to drive over there. So it's been a while since I've been back. How about you, Simon?
Yeah, it's probably a good 3 to 4 hour drive if you're actually going towards Western Washington up to Port Angeles and then taking the ferry, which is a lot shorter that way. But we headed up through Vancouver just because it was a little bit easier to go through all the customs things through the border. But yeah, it's been a while. The last time I was up here was when I was a kid, so it definitely has been a lot of changes. From what I remember then, it was beautiful, and even now during this trip, it's still quite beautiful. And that ferry trip, it's also very beautiful as you go through it and kind of cut through all the different islands. You kind of get to see all these different landscapes and everything. So for us, actually, we were lucky because it ended up being sunny that day that we visited, and the days prior it was just pouring down. So I was very, very happy that we ended up having a pretty good day on our visit here.
Yeah, I was actually very excited for the weather to be that nice. I was just expecting that it's just gonna be pouring down rain, it's gonna be foggy, you're not gonna be able to see anything. And surprisingly, while we were waiting to get some food and some coffee and everything, somebody pointed out, hey look, there's an Orcas Island, or not Orcas Island, Orcas whale. There's a whale out there in sea. I think it's Orcas whale. But yeah, it was amazing just to see the fin like splashing in the water and everything. I've never seen a whale in all my life taking any type of ferries around the Puget Sound or around the Pacific Northwest area. So even going on cruise ships, I've never seen a whale before. So I thought, hey, that's just made the trip in itself.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to see. That was actually the first time I've seen a whale riding on any ferry as well. And there are a lot of whale watching kind of companies out here in the Northwest. But one of the things that I do want to mention was that that price was round trip, so it was the $114 to $120 round trip. So that was both ways. And we do have an island up here called Orcas Island. So I got a little stumbled on that a little bit, but yeah, whale watching is very popular up here. And so kind of continuing forward here, we're over in the cafeteria, and it was a pretty good size. There are a lot of decks that you can go through. You have the parking decks, which are down below, and there are about 4 decks that you can go through that kind of go out and see different things, and you can kind of climb up and go outside, look at the scenery and go through. But here we are in the, I guess you call it cafeteria. They do provide a good amount of food, and it's definitely, like I mentioned, or like cafeteria style. So you're standing in line, going through, and everybody's getting their order, and then you kind of tell whoever it is you're the server essentially what you want to get. And in my case, I ended up getting the bacon burger and some poutine fries and drink. Um, and I was actually pretty surprised because they were actually pretty good. Much more than I was expecting. I was kind of expecting kind of like your typical, somewhat flavorless and regular bland kind of food, but the burger, the beef patty itself actually had a pretty nice beefy flavor to it, so that was pretty surprising. So I was happy with that, combined with the bacon. So kind of a combination that I thought was pretty good, much more than I was expecting. So that was happy, and of course with the poutine fries, which you have the gravy and with the cheese curds. Those were actually pretty good as well. The fries itself kept its crisp, and so you have the kind of the creaminess from the curds as you bite through with those, and then the savoriness from the gravy. The combination was great, so definitely something happy to have, which is poutine fries, especially in Canada, which they are very, very popular for.
Yeah, so some of the other items I did see in that cafeteria or restaurants in the ferry was that they did serve alcohol, and they did also have a soft serve ice cream vending machine, I guess you could call it, or soft serve ice cream machine. So seeing all that items, it's pretty cool. I also saw like they had a ship size, I guess, tray for the children as well. So that seems pretty fun. I was kind of hoping that they would give that to Simon, because that looked pretty fun to look at. But yeah, so moving along here, like, was it everything you expected, Simon? Like, did they like hit the spot for the burger and the poutine fries?
I don't know about hitting the spot. I mean, I did enjoy it much more than I was expecting. It's one of those things where, at least from the past, where you think airplane food or hospital food, it's just something you think is just bland. They have it there because people want to eat or whatever. But you're kind of getting surprised that they're actually ended up, they've definitely improved, at least from the last time I've taken this ferry from when I was a kid. And it was all pretty good. And with this video, at least, we're showing that both when we were heading over to Victoria and our way back. So very beautiful. Definitely a thing to do is to go stand outside and watch the sights and kind of all the surroundings around you as you're taking the ferry.
Unfortunately, for this episode, we did not have any notables.
And to support our channel, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for the YouTube algorithm. And for more photos, follow us on Instagram. See you guys on the next episode.